So we are a quarter of a way through the 2017 NFL season. So I will already start to think about award winners, offensive, defensive rookie of the year, comeback player of the year, coach of the year, defensive player of the year, and for many of us, the most important award of all, the most valuable player, maybe outside of the Lombardi Trophy. So what I'm going to do here is just give you my quick thoughts for those of you that are wondering or asking, because I've had a couple of questions about this on Twitter. Who, at this point in time in the season, would be my award winners? I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think Offensive Rookie of the Year is the biggest slam dunk pick there is out of all of them. Like, there are other ones you can have debate or discussion about. Offensive Rookie of the Year, there is no discussion. It is Kareem Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs, the third-round pick from Toledo, through 4 games, has 502 rush yards for a staggering yards per carry average of 7.4, which granted was bolstered by starting off his career with 3 straight games with a 50-yard run. But regardless, 502 yards in 4 games, that puts him on pace for a 2,000-yard season. Is he going to be able to maintain that clip? No, because he's not going to break off that many more big runs throughout the course of the season, but he'll break off some, you would think. 4 touchdowns on the ground, another 13 receptions, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns receiving. He has been a factor back, a difference maker for that Chiefs offense, and maybe potentially a guy that can help put the Chiefs over that hump and get them to that next step in the playoffs. You talk about the Chiefs being the only undefeated team. What is the one real tangible difference for that team between last year, previous years, and this year? It is Kareem Hunt. Slam dunk offensive rookie of the year. I don't know how you can argue that. Defensive rookie of the year at this point in time, I think it's a little tough because defensive statistics can be a little tough to measure. We're only a quarter of a way through the season. I will go with Tre'Davious White of the Buffalo Bills, a first-round pick from LSU. The Bills took him 27th overall. I feel like he's been solid. He's made some big plays in the past couple of games, especially when you're talking about big plays against Denver and against Atlanta. You're talking about a Bills team that's beat 2 quality teams back-to-back. They're now 3-1. I will go with Tre'Davious White, but if you have other people you want to suggest, I probably wouldn't argue with him at this point either. You might get some TJ Watts or so forth, and I understand that. It's just right now I would point to Tre'Davious White. My comeback player of the year I think is obvious. It's Jalen Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. Talking about a kid from Notre Dame that in the Fiesta Bowl had Taylor Decker kind of cheap shot him, and he destroyed his knee. He had nerve damage. There was a lot of questions about whether or not he was ever going to play in the NFL again. So he missed all of 2016, and here he is. He's back 2017, and he's starting at middle linebacker for the Cowboys. It's a great story. It really, really is. To come back from that horrific knee injury and that nerve damage and all those questions about whether or not you're even going to play again, the game that you spent your whole life playing and loving, he's, after 4 games, in the top 10 in the league in tackles. He hasn't made a ton of big plays, but he's been around the ball a lot, and he's been a good player in the middle of that Cowboys defense. The comeback player of the year, Jalen Smith, has been a hell of a story for him. Now, the coach of the year, I think a lot of people are going to point to Sean McVay of the Rams, and I completely get it and will not argue it. My personal choice is Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. You're talking about a team with Tyrod Taylor as your quarterback. Your only real offensive threat, so to speak, is LaShawn McCoy, although Charles Clay has played well the first quarter of the season. You trade away your number 1 wide receiver in Sammy Watkins. Your top cornerback leaves in free agency as Stephon Gilmore. You trade away your other starting quarterback in Ronald Darby, and with no real passing game to speak of and a limited one-dimensional offense, this team is 3-1 and just beat Denver at home and then went to Atlanta and beat the defending NFC champions in their new place. No offense to the Rams. The victory in Dallas against the Cowboys was nice, but to go back-to-back weeks and beat Denver and Atlanta, Sean McDermott right now is my guy because he had to overcome, as bad as everybody wants to talk about Jeff Fisher, Rex Ryan was every bit as much a shit. He had to fix the Rex Ryan mess, and he's done it very quickly. So Sean McDermott is my personal choice at this point in time. Defensive player of the year. Again, early on in the season can be a little bit tough, but I will go to the Cowboys again. I look at DeMarcus Lawrence. While granted the Cowboys are 2-2, you're talking about a guy that leads the league in quarterback pressures. He leads the league in sacks. I believe he's up to 7.5 now. For a defense where so many people were questioning, where's the pass rush going to come from? And where are they going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback consistently? DeMarcus Lawrence has been the best player in the league at getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. He's the league leader in sacks. At this point in time, and again, only 4 weeks in, I got to give the nod to him there because the stats back up that he has been a real difference maker for that Cowboys defense. He really has been. Subject to change, sure. I don't know if he'll end up being Defensive Player of the Year. Probably not. But right now, I would give the nod to him. And last but most certainly not least is the MVP award. And I think you're going to hear several names. And when I posed the question on Twitter, I got some of the names that I expected. I knew I was going to get a ton of Kareem Hunt, some Aaron Rodgers. Weirdly, there was some Todd Brady. Ultimately, I'm sorry, but Tom Brady's Patriots are 2-2. He's not the MVP of anything right now. Sorry, that's just the reality of it. And other guys too. But the one name I didn't hear as often as I thought I was going to was Todd Gurley. And he would personally be my choice for the most valuable player in the league right now. You're talking about a guy with 362 rushing yards, averaging over 4 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns, even better numbers than Kareem Hunt as a receiver with 20 catches for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. But you're talking about a Todd Gurley who has less help around him on the offensive side of the ball than the Kansas City Chiefs do, because they've also got Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and you can point to the Rams having Sammy Watkins, but for at least 8 or 9 games of the season, what the hell does that mean? The answer is absolutely nothing. And while that Rams offensive line is a little bit improved, and Jared Goff most certainly is improved in year number 2 compared to what he was as a rookie, I look at Todd Gurley and his importance and that significance to that offense, and how you can see a direct correlation between the improvement in his play and the improvement of the team's position and record. Whereas you can look at Kareem Hunt and think, hey, if they didn't have Kareem Hunt, the Chiefs might still be a 3-1 or 4-0 football team. So when I look at the entire picture and I look at the body of work, the numbers are there, not as strong as Kareem Hunt's, granted, but I think the numbers are strong enough that I feel like Todd Gurley right now would be the league MVP. And honestly, as much as we want to even talk about a Kareem Hunt, even though I'm not a huge fan of the guy, and I feel like at some point in time the chickens will come home to roost and the truth will be exposed once again, at this point in time, if I was going to point to anybody on that Chiefs team being the MVP through 4 games, it's Alex Smith. You're talking about a guy with a 75% completion percentage right now, thrown for like 8 touchdowns. I don't think he has an interception so far this year. I mean, he's played at a level at this point, this early, that I've never seen him play. Like, he can actually throw the ball more than 15 yards down the field. Now, is that directly related to the drafting of Patrick Mahomes with the 10th overall pick? Perhaps. But whatever it is, it clearly worked for the Chiefs and Andy Reid through 4 games of the season. And if I was going to point to anybody from that Chiefs offense being the league MVP, I would lean more towards Alex Smith than I would Kareem Hunt. Because as great as Kareem Hunt has been and important as has been, the fact that they can now do more things in the passing game with Kelce and Tyreek Hill on the outside, because Alex Smith can actually throw the ball downfield a little bit more and is a little more willing to, I would point to him being the MVP off of the Chiefs. But my choice again right now is Todd Gurley. His numbers are very good, and I think his impact has been even greater to the Rams. But those are